Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Painting with Victor Rigoli. I'm in the studio. It's Sunday morning. Yep, still Sunday morning. Looking at the clock over there on the desk, and I finished up a painting that did a little tutorial on yesterday, the day before, and I finished it up. It was just the practice painting that I showed in my previous video, but I need to clean up my palette, and I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of painting today. I don't know, maybe a little bit this afternoon. It's Sunday, kind of take a day of rest and chill out a little bit and what have you. But yeah, I've got some paint on the palette here, and I need to kind of clean all this up. I did a little painting yesterday. I've got some that I worked on this morning, some paint over here and around the corners, and I even put some paint down in here, just some scrap paint left over from some mixtures that I had been working on with some that previous painting that I had. And yeah, what I'm going to do is I need to just clean the whole palette. I was working on it earlier, and it's kind of stained green and everything, and I used some Windex. I was trying to get it clean, and I didn't get it as clean as I'd like it to be. And so what I have to do is I have to get me some of my old handy dandy right out of the kitchen all-purpose cleaner with some bleach, and put some of that on there, and take my little pad that I use, almost like a little Brillo pad thing, and scrub it in, and I'll show you that. But I'm just going to kind of start cleaning this stuff up. Hopefully I won't bump this camera at all, but I've got a little palette here. It's a little glass palette that I made that I put paint on that I want to save, and I'll just stick this in my little mini fridge over there. And actually, I'm walking over here to the mini fridge right now and looking in to see. Yeah, I've already got a little palette of paint in there, and I don't know if any of it's salvageable. I put that in there some time ago, but I'm gonna try to get some on this one. And I mean, there's some paint on here that I might want to save, so I'm just gonna start doing that right now. I do have some sap green over here that I'm gonna set that right down in there so you can see it a little bit. Get that little bit of sap green, set that over there. And I got my little trusty paper towel rack here. It's gonna get a paper towel off. I'd had some raw umber that I was working with earlier and used it all up, so just have some remnants there and a little bit of some burnt umber. I'm just gonna scrape that off and just put it right there. I got some burnt sienna, and it's really got a film over it, and I'm just gonna take what I've got there and stick it on that little glass palette. And some of it might be salvageable, and what I try to do is, oil paint. If you're an oil painter, oil paint is more expensive, of course, than the acrylic paint. Although the oil paint takes a while longer to dry, you can work with it a little bit easier. At least I find I can work with it a little bit easier, and blending and things of that nature, mixing and what have you. but it is expensive. So I try to save as much as I can, and that's why I'm just going to put some of this that I put out recently on this little glass palette that I made. This is actually probably a 5x7 piece of glass I took out of a picture frame, and I just took painter's tape and put it all the way around here. And let's look at the bottom of this thing. I've got like a piece of a print that I salvaged and put on the bottom, cardboard, but I painted this glass a flat gray color, okay? Because I have used it before, to paint from, mix and paint and that kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, it's just a homemade little deal. You can do the same thing. You can take an 8x10 piece of glass and cut a little piece of cardboard, and take painter's tape and tape it on and everything, and it helps support it and what have you, which is really really neat. I really like doing that. Oop, that just kind of dropped on there, and that's fine where it dropped. I'll just leave it right there. I had a little orange. I can't remember what I was doing with this little cat orange, but I got that over there. Got a little bit of some yellow ochre. I had some cad yellow earlier, but I used it all up. This is lemon yellow. Just putting it out there on that little palette. Prussian blue. The Prussian blue is all it's really drying up there. So there's nothing that I want to salvage out of that little pile, because what happens is if I have tried to salvage some paint, that's got a film over it, that kind of thing. If you're not careful, that film and that will get mixed in with your paint, and when you go to paint, you'll get all these little flakes and crap all in your paint. You don't want that to happen. This is a little phthalo blue there. It's still pretty good shape. I'm gonna save a little bit of that. Stick that over there. And I was working with some Payne's Gray earlier. I'm just gonna stick that on there. This was some Naples yellow. I'm not going to save it. It's just gotten kind of gunky. This was some purple that I had, and it's gotten kind of gunky as well. Gunky, I don't know if gunky is a word or not, but it's kind of gooey. Maybe that's a better choice of words. Got kind of gooey and filmy, and I just don't want to try to save it or anything. Okay, so the rest on the palette over here on this side is just some scrap paint that's left over. Now this is Viridian, and Viridian stays pretty moist for a while. It takes a while for it to dry, so I'm gonna save that there. I've got like a little pile of white over here that dirty. It's a dirty white because I mixed in a little paint with it. Just dabbing my brush and picking up a little paint and that kind of thing. Sometimes what I like to do when I'm painting, instead of just taking my brush and dabbing over there with some white and grabbing it and everything, I'll take a little palette knife like this one here, and I'll just reach in there and grab me just a little bit of white paint like that, and then I'll just kind of, put it next to the pile of paint that I'm working with, to try to mix it in and everything. So I'll do that, and that way I can just pull from that and not have to worry about getting it all muddy and dirty and everything, my white paint. So I'll do that from time to time. I have seen an artist that what he does is he'll put out two piles of white paint. One is he wants to keep it good and clean, and the other pile is just one that he's dabbing his brush in. He doesn't care if it gets muddy or dirty or anything like that. Okay, so this is just some paint that I was working with earlier this morning, and I'd hate. I don't know if I'll use this color in something else. It's possible, but I just didn't want to throw it away. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just take paint like this, and I'll just get me a little 8x10 canvas panel, and I'll just do kind of some type of abstract palette knife painting with a bunch of colors on it and everything. And it's really, they turned out pretty good. I kind of like them. You know, there's just something different. And you know, I think I gave one to my son who liked it and everything. And yeah, it's just a way to reuse your paint or use your paint that you had left over from a previous painting session. You know, so you got to be creative and think about things like that. And maybe you could come up with something to kind of, you know, think outside the box and what have you. Okay, these are just some blues that I was working on. This blue is starting to get a little gummy over here. I'm not going to save it, to be honest with you. It's going in the trash can. I'm reaching around over here to get a paper towel, and I'm just going to wipe my palette knife on the paper towel. So I just kind of scrape some of this off here, get it out of the way. I'm just wiping it on the paper towel. This was some old, probably some sap green and maybe some violet, and I mixed it together, making it a dark green, or it could have been some ivory black that I added into it, but it's gotten kind of gooey and gummy, so I don't want to save it. Got some color over here. I'll save it. The neat little pile of it. It's the different colors in there, in these greens. It is something I might be able to use, you know, with a landscape painting of some sort. Okay, now I got a big wad. I don't know if you can see it or not. I don't know if I can turn the camera over here or not to show it to you. I'll just lean the camera over. This little pile of paint right here is some blue that I had, and I just stuck it over here in the corner of the palette just to get it out of the way. And I was working on something the other day and just had some extra blue paint, and I said, well, I'll just stick it over here in the corner and maybe I'll use it. And I don't know, it's got a little film over it, but I'm just going to sit it here in the middle of my little palette. Okay, now, all right, I got all this paint off the palette that I want to save, and I'm just scraping some of this other paint off. Get my palette knife clean. This was a little bit of olive color that I had that I was working with. It was straight out of the tube, and I was mixing it with something else to give me a good green that I liked. And then I'll just come back around the palette here, cleaning all this excess paint off, and kind of going from there. I get in the corner over here, some that I worked with earlier today. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe you can, you know, on the camera. It's kind of a makeshift setup that I have this morning of just, you know, the way my camera's set up and that kind of thing. I mean, I do have the ability to set the camera up that it's directly over the palette, and I've done that in a tutorial video that I did. I think it was Friday, actually. Scraping any excess paint and everything. I love these little palette knives, and I'm going to tell you something about these palette knives. These palette knives will get razor sharp, so you got to be very careful with them. Okay, I've got two like this because I'll use them a lot in mixing paint. Okay, and I've got this little one here that I use, and I'll use it for mixing paint too. I put a little painter's tape on it because I think it was getting loose in there, and I probably put some super glue in there to hold it in place and to the handle, and I just wrapped it with some painter's tape. But these are the three palette knives that I use the most for mixing paint. Some people artists like to use these type of palette knives and for mixing, and you can really get them flat and everything, which is fine. You know, I've got that. I use that every now and then. I do have another little palette knife. It's not as big as these. As you can see, you know, the size a little bit smaller. It's got a rounded tip. This has got more of a pointed tip. This is good if you're using it, you know, to kind of put some marks on your canvas and that kind of thing, and maybe some flower petals or you know, stems and things like that. But yeah, I'll use I'll use this one sometime for mixing paint as well. These palette knives I use a lot when I'm doing imprimatur or I'm needing to get some paint out of one of my liquid bottles, and after a while, if you're not careful, it'll get kind of gooey in there, and so I have to stick the palette knife down in there and get it out. And same thing with here with this Galkid. It starts to set up, it starts getting it kind of reminds me of honey sometimes. And but anyway, I'll use a palette knife to scrape some out and use it and mix it. And I'll put some odorless mineral spirits and some Galkid into a little cup, a little plastic cup. That's something like applesauce or fruit salad or something comes in that you get at the grocery store or whatever. And I save those little containers and I'll mix up paint in there, and I'll put the paint in and mix it in. So these are just some of the palette knives that I use. I bought this one recently, and maybe you can see it there. I like the shape of it because what I wanted to do with it is maybe make some unique marks on the canvas, especially like with flowers or floral petals or stems and leaves and things of that nature. Just getting some unique marks. This one here I picked up recently. I like it. I like the rounded top here, end here. It's wider than something like this. And I have used this one for acrylic painting and just getting a lot of paint on the canvas that I'm working with, and getting different shapes and things like that on there, which is really kind of cool. But anyway, just wanted to kind of throw those out there and show you a little bit of the palette knives. But actually, the main thing I wanted to say is be careful with these things, because as you the way I use the palette knives into my palette here and scraping and everything, it really wears this metal down thin. And I have sliced my fingers open before, and I've taken a rag like this, a towel, and I've run it through, and I'm putting pressure on it with my thumb like that on the other side, and it's cut through the paper towel, and it's actually sliced my thumb. So be extremely careful. I mean, these things get very, very sharp. You wouldn't think so, just rubbing it across the glass, but they do. All right, so now I've got this nice little 5x7 looking palette here full of paint that I wanted to salvage. So I'm going to set this off to the side over here on my computer desk area. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spray the palette down with my Windex, okay, like so. And I've gotten up a lot of the paint over here already, but what you can do is take your little paint scraper like this. You can kind of go around where your paint has been on your palette and scrape. Just get that off, and you're not seeing this. It's kind of off the camera, but I'm wiping this on my paper towel roll that I have. It's right above. It's like right up here, straight up. Okay. So, but I'll use this paint scraper to kind of scrape up some of the paint that's kind of gotten gooped up there. I'm going to scrape that around a little bit. Okay. Now just wipe that off real good, like so. And this is the second or third one that I've gone through. Then I'll get these. I get these at the Wally World, Walmart. You can buy a pack of them pretty cheap, 3 or 4 in a pack, 4 or 6 in a pack. And I use this part right here to really scrub my work area of the palette. So I'm just going to go around here. Now I start working around the perimeter. Okay. Just go all the way around like this. And then I start working my way in to the center. Now I've already worked a little bit on the center before I started doing this video of cleaning it up. But because I had all this other paint around the perimeter of my palette, and that's how I do it, is, you know, I got it laid out according to the warmth and the coolness of the paint and that kind of thing. And I just know, and you do that every time, you want to put that paint out the same place every time you paint. That way you get so familiar with where your paint's at, you don't need to look. Now, one of the things I've done, and let me see if I can show it to you right quick. And I'll try to tilt this camera up a little bit to show you, tilt it around, something like this. That's pretty good. But over here, I built this glass. This glass is an 18 by 24 piece. This piece of wood here is about a ½ inch wide by probably 1.5 inches deep. This glass, I painted one side a flat primer gray color, and then it sits inside a wooden tray of about 1/8 or 1/4 inch piece of plywood that this material is built around. Okay. And once I got it built in, I put painter's tape all around the top. Okay. And I labeled little Sharpie marker where my paint goes. Like over here is RS for raw sienna. You got BS, that's for burnt sienna, burnt umber, raw umber, sap green. Then I go into my blues: Prussian blue, ultramarine, phthalo, cerulean, cobalt. I got a place here for black over here on this side. Okay, and this side is the black. I got a spot over here for Payne's gray. And same thing on this side over here. I've got cad red. I got cad orange. I don't use cad orange that much. Yellow ochre. I've got cad yellow lemon, and then I've got the white. And my white is down here in this part. Okay. But anyway, that's kind of the layout. Sorry, this thing is bouncing around a little bit, guys, and hopefully the phone won't fall off. But anyway, I take the little scrubby side and just scrub, and trying to get all this little paint stain off of my palette, because I don't want any residue. I try to get all of it off because I don't want any residue of a color that's left on the glass getting into and contaminating that paint mixture that I'm working on, especially if I'm working with a lighter color. I don't want, like I've got, you know, kind of some green color on here, and I don't want that mixing in, right? So I'll go through here and I'll just kind of scrub this thing really good, and just work it, you know, scrub it. And a lot of this paint and everything gets picked up onto the sponge. And I've got my palette sits on like a little old dresser from an old bedroom suite that we had, and I've got drawers and everything under it. So But anyway, I just take my paper towel, start wiping it off, and you can see here, see all that green paint mixture that I was working with earlier. And I'll continue to wipe, getting up as much as I can. As you can see, I'll take the Windex, spray that on again, like so. And I'm going to wipe it down again, and we'll see how much more of the green paint, I pick up onto my paper towel. Now it's starting to look a little blue, which is fine. Well, what does that tell me? It tells me that I'm getting off about all the paint I can get off with this Windex. Okay, because the Windex is blue color, and so you put it on the paper towel, it's going to come out and have you a little blue tint to it. Okay, so I'm still getting some. If I can rub my fingers in there really hard like this, and you can see I still got some yellowish green color. Okay, scrubbing it. All right. So just hold on to these paper towels. So this is where I come in here with my all-purpose cleaner. It's got some bleach in it. I'm going to do this in the open area because of the smell. I mean, smelling bleach might not bother you. It does bother some people. I'll just put that down, and it can get pretty strong. So I just lots of times I just kind of let that sit there a little bit. So I just kind of let the bleach do its magic and everything, and let that sit on the glass and everything, and let it just kind of work and everything. And then what I'll do is I'll take my sponge that I was working with earlier. Actually, I'm going to use a different one because I don't want to use the same one because it's got some old paint on it, right? And I've got a brand new one here that I haven't used it yet, brand new one, and I'm going to use it to go around and clean this surface here that I just applied, all this bleach. Okay. And I can already see it's coming out a lot cleaner. Okay. I don't know if the camera's picking up some of that, but I can definitely tell a big difference. If I do this, you don't have to, if you don't have to do this. It's just my preference. Okay. This is just the way I do it. This is the way I clean my palette, and I'll clean it maybe once a week, a deep cleaning like this, just to make sure that I get a good clean surface to work from. Because I'm going to tell you, if you take care of your tools, you take care of your brushes, you take care of your palette knives, they'll be there for you, and you can rely on them to be there, to be in good shape. And so when you go to paint, you don't have to worry about. I've seen so many artists that don't give a crap about their brushes. They'll take a brush, like I was painting with this earlier. Okay, I haven't cleaned this brush. Some of them would just kind of wipe some of that paint out, and they'll set it off to the side, and they think they've got it clean. And the next thing you know, it's gotten real hard, and the bristles start breaking off and that kind of thing, because they're just not taking care of their equipment. Okay, it's just like a mechanic's got tools, plumber's got tools, carpenter's got tools. Especially those that are woodworkers, they have saws and knives and things like that. You have to sharpen that saw. You have to keep it in good shape. It's just like a lumberjack or these tree service people. They have to sharpen their saws. Okay. the chain on the chainsaw, okay, and other tools that they're working with. You got to keep them sharp. You got to take the time to do that, because if you don't, you're gonna do some damage somewhere to that chainsaw. You could burn it up, and it's not going to be good for you anymore. You have to throw it out. You have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, again to buy more equipment. So, as we all know, as artists and oil painters, oil paint is not cheap. Brushes are not cheap. So you want to take care of your equipment, take care of your brushes, and you know, so they'll be there when you need it. Okay. Now, I didn't put rubber gloves on today. I normally do, because I can smell the bleach on my hand and get bleach on my hand. I probably should have put some rubber gloves on. Okay. And sometimes I'll just put rubber gloves on when I do the cleaning of the palette with just regular windex. Okay, because I don't want to get any of that oil residue or anything like that on my skin. Okay. You can see all that yellow color that I've gotten up. And my palette is really starting to look good. I'm pleased with it. Going around, drying it off real good. Getting all this up. Some more paper towels. I'm going to have to go downstairs in a minute and get another roll of paper towels. I use some of just the regular old paper towels you get at Walmart or Kroger or Publix or whatever, but I also use blue shop towels. I use blue shop towels for cleaning brushes and things like that. Wiping my brush, and those paper towels, you get little paper pieces and lint from them, but the blue shop towels you don't, so they work out a whole lot better. Okay, so and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is looking good. I'm pleased with the results here. This cleaning of my glass palette, and these are just some of the things you got to do when you're an artist and working in your studio. I mean, it's not all paint. You don't paint all the time. I mean, people don't realize what all's involved in creating a piece of art. I've talked to different artists. I've interviewed different artists on my podcast and everything. Artist Stores in Middle Georgia, plug for that. And, there's a lot that goes into creating a beautiful piece of art. You got the canvas, the surface, and that kind of thing, and that you're going to paint on, and you got to come up with a design or composition. You got to plan that out. It's a whole process you go through. But yeah, it's the cleanup too. It's just like, when you're a carpenter or handyman or whatever, you got all your tools, you do all this work, you got to clean up, afterwards, and you got to take care of your equipment. But anyway, I'm pleased with the results of this cleanup today. Now, all I'll need to do is come back over here with this little palette here that has all the little paint that I salvaged, and I can just lay it back out where it needs to go, and I can start another painting. But I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let it sit in there. I'll probably pick it up tomorrow and do some painting tomorrow. I'm working on a painting from a photo that is the Matterhorn, and it's just a beautiful picture, and I'm hopeful that I could replicate that into my painting. But anyway, thanks guys for tuning in today. Hopefully you learned a little bit. This is just a kind of little video on how I go about cleaning my palette and making sure it's good and clean for the next time I want to use it. Like I said, I'll do a deep cleaning using the all-purpose cleaner with some bleach maybe once a week. Usually on the weekend, Sunday, that kind of thing, and kind of taking it easy, kicking back, get things ready to start painting and digging into it, Monday morning. But thanks for tuning in. Please like the video. Please subscribe so you'll be notified of new content. If there's something you'd like for me to cover and talk about, I'd be glad to do that. I'm hoping to be able to do some more little watch me paint videos. I can now set up a camera on the palette, one on the painting itself, one on the reference photo, or one on me if that's what you want to see. But thanks guys so much for tuning in today. Hopefully you have a great Sunday afternoon, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Take care.